All right, what up? It's Leonidas here in St. Petersburg. I know that the lighting isn't as good because it's nighttime, but nonetheless, I will quickly describe to you my experience in St. Petersburg and what I enjoyed and what I recommend. Okay, so St. Petersburg is the birthplace of me. I was born here when it was called Leningrad back during the Soviet Union days, and I have never actually been here since being born. So my experience of my opinion of St. Petersburg, well, architecturally speaking, it's a beautiful city, okay, in the sense that the entire center of it is basically no higher than about 5 floors. And this is because there was a law several hundred years ago that stipulated that nothing can be higher than one of the buildings, which was one of the buildings in St. Petersburg. Nothing can be higher than that building, so therefore everything here looks like the old town. So it looks like the 19th to early 20th century, the entire city. And anytime you want to do any renovations on your building, let's say you buy a business, it has to look like it did 100 years ago. Okay, cannot change it. Nothing can be particularly overly fancy. Nothing can be super modern about the building. It has to maintain the St. Petersburg feel to it. Okay, there's many museums here, lots of interesting museums. For example, one of the museums that I went to is called the Hermitage. I went to see there, and I spent about 3 hours there. Saw maybe 20 to 30% of the things there. You need about 10 hours in total. So if you decide to go to the Hermitage, which only costs about $10 US, I recommend you have either enough time or you go there for at least 2 days. I will be coming back here to St. Petersburg next summer, but right now it's cold, it's 0 degrees, and I'm ready to go to somewhere warmer. I also went to this place called Petergov, which is another imperial palace. Okay. And the thing about St. Petersburg, it was considered the capital for many centuries, so therefore there's a lot of these imperial palaces everywhere. But in one section, it's a little bit further from the center of St. Petersburg, about an hour drive. It has these cool golden fountains and a lot of green gardens. Now, just to tell you about gardens, something that I read is that back in the old days, a lot of imperial families or people of a lot of money wanted to have gardens because it made them look fancy. So the bigger your garden, the fancier you were. And this is because gardens are useful for nothing else other than to look fancy. Okay, they provide no farming value, no value for cattle. They're not used for anything else other than to show that they're green and that you can spend a lot of money maintaining them, okay, on workers and soil and all these other things. So anyways, Petergov, golden fountains, and the inside is just fancy spoons and fancy clothing from the Katerina the Great era. Then I went to Pushkin, so this area called Pushkin, where they had the palace of Ekaterina, sorry, Catherine the Great. I might be getting this wrong. But anyways, the palace itself, once you go inside, all the walls are made of gold or they look really shiny. So the palace itself, the inside, is really, really, really fancy. It's as if you bought an apartment and then you decided to make everything either golden or silver or really expensive, really shiny and expensive, okay? Because that was the cool thing to do back then, is to show off how much money you had. As well, one of the really cool museums that I really recommend that you go to is called the Grand Maquette. Okay, so it's almost like Grand Market, but without the R. So it's Grand Maquette, and it's like a miniature representation of everything in Russia. Okay, so it's this huge, gigantic room that has like a semi-map of Russia. Okay, and it's basically built into the miniaturization of Russia. So there's little people, and there's tanks, there's cars, there's trucks, there's trains, there's Boeing 747, 787s, airplanes, and all these kind of things. And even the landscapes are all representations of the different climates and the different regions in Russia, from Moscow to St. Petersburg to the center of Russia to Sochi to you know, Crimea to all these other locations in Russia, and it's just the miniaturized version of them. It is really, really cool. You can spend about 2-3 hours in there, and I've made a lot of photos, and I'm going to post them on Facebook. There's so many, such a cool place to see, and such a cool thing that we did to represent humanity in these little miniature figures. As well, what else do we have? Oh, behind me, forgot to mention, is the Blood Savior Church, or Ice Cream Church number 2. So the first Ice Cream Church is in Moscow. This is Ice Cream Church number 2. Not too familiar with the history, but as you can see, it's a fancy looking church, and it's for Jesus back in the day. It's mostly a tourist attraction now. I don't think a lot of people go there to pray anymore, but it's just a really big tourist attraction, and it looks really cool, and it's very, very intricate. Walking around St. Petersburg, you'll notice that there's a lot of beautiful architecture. So like I mentioned before, it is a mix of, it is basically an old town, like an old town that's been just kept alive and architecturally speaking been kept the same. So unlike other cities where you'll have an old town, but right next to it is just like a big skyscraper or like a McDonald's that doesn't really fit the architectural design, St. Petersburg keeps to itself as it did 100 to 150, 200 years ago. How much time would I recommend spending in St. Petersburg? Yeah, anywhere 2 weeks. I think 2 weeks is okay. There's lots of museums, like I said, lots of things to see, and lots of very romanticized locations you can take photos in. I will be coming here again next summer, but right now it's cold, my hands are freezing, and as you can see, I breathe fire like a dragon. So Leonidas here, St. Petersburg. I hope I covered everything. I hope you enjoyed this video. And yeah, check out St. Petersburg. Also, my video won't do justice to the video itself, but check out the drone videos of St. Petersburg. It really shows you how interesting or architecturally a city looked like 150 years ago. Okay, everything is really kept the same still. So, Leonidas here. I will see you in the next city, the next video, and we'll go from there. Oh, next cities, by the way, Sochi, Yerevan, Sochi, which is in South Russia, Yerevan, which is in Armenia, Tbilisi, which is in Georgia, and then from there I might go to Dubai or wherever, but I ultimately have to end up in Belgium before flying to Recife in Brazil. Leo 2016, the end of October, Russia. See you in the next video. Salut.